So, in this video, we're going to explore the best raw gold dungeon in WoW, and more importantly, how to farm it super efficiently. So I got a message on an older video from a guy who claimed to have made millions of gold out of farming the Motherlode dungeon from Battle for Azeroth. Now, I was a bit skeptical. Usually when someone says they made millions farming old dungeons or raids, it's because they did so for an insanely long time, rather than because the opportunity was that good. But I checked it out, and to my surprise, there's a lot to like here. The entrance to the Motherlode depends on your faction. For Horde, it's on the far left of the harbour in Zuldazar. For Alliance, it's very near the ship portal that takes you from Borealis to Zandalar, just to the left of the portal you arrive through. Now, I devised the following special strategy for those who wish to farm for short periods for a high rate of return of gold per minute. There's a lot of trash mobs near the entrance that collectively drop a lot of gold, more than any other dungeon in the game at the moment. But it's not at all obvious how to farm them in a fast and efficient way, for reasons that will become obvious. You can't just pull everything. There's two issues here. There's a significant minority of neutral mobs that can't be aggroed except by attacking them directly, which dismounts you, which in turn greatly slows you down. Second, these addled thug mobs, or mooks to give them their generic name, have a really unpleasant stun, which also slows you down and makes the whole thing much less enjoyable. The best way around this is to run around the charmingly named Crapopolis area, the area before the first boss, using this exact route, trying to avoid clusters of NPCs which have addled thugs in them, and pulling every other mob. We're going to pull all the mobs to the disco area, where there is a concentration of neutral mobs, and blow our cooldowns, and use our area of effect abilities to kill everything in a massive puddle of trash. If you are under-geared and or playing a squishy class, then you may need to blow your defensive cooldowns also. Even though this is an old dungeon and you significantly out-level the NPCs, that many mobs attacking at once can stunlock and kill you if you lose concentration. Now, all these mobs drop about 200 raw gold. They may drop additional green and trash items worth anything between 50 to 250 gold when you vendor them. The average value of the trash pack is just over 300 gold on average. You'll get about 3,200 gold for 10 runs. With practice you can do a run in around a minute, so it will take you about 10 minutes to hit instance lockout for your 3,200 gold, which when normalized to an hour is just over 19,000 gold. The reason I tend to use these methods which optimize gold for short periods is that if you continue through the dungeon and kill everything, your gold per minute invested tends to go down, even though you can make a lot more gold before lockout. We'll investigate that in a second. But I just wanted to say that when I post these videos usually, I get several confused people stating that they are just getting greens which vendor for silver. You need to do this with a maximum level character, or the vendor value of the items won't be that high as they scale to your level. You'll notice when you do this dungeon while leveling through looking for dungeon that the vendor value of the items is really low. If you don't have a level 70 character that you can dedicate to running the Motherlode, which is the best way to do it, we have a really fantastic method on my Patreon right now, which is somehow still active. You can level up from 10 to 70 literally by pressing one button in the same time or faster than questing. Now, if you don't want to farm for a short period, you can go through the entire dungeon pulling all the trash before each boss, and you'll make around 1100 gold per dungeon run, which in theory could yield 11,000 gold per hour. Not actually that bad for raw gold, however that is 80% less than the normalized returns from doing the optimized trash run I mentioned earlier. Additionally, most classes would struggle to do the whole dungeon in 6 minutes, which is the minimum duration to get 10 runs in per hour and hit instance lockout. It's worth mentioning that if you are undergeared, the last boss, Mogul Razdunk, has an invincibility phase if you don't burst him down fast enough. In this case, stand next to the big stakes on the ground and wait for Razdunk to remove them. Try and avoid this if possible by saving your burst cooldowns, as this can slow you down quite a bit. Whichever way you do it, it seems that the Motherlode is the best dungeon in the game currently for raw gold. The sheer density of mobs is the main reason, though it's also less glitchy than something like Freehold, which tends to bug out when you push things too hard. Now, there's a lot of greens which can drop here, and you can make more from selling them on the auction house than the numbers I've given in this video. This is a very controversial topic because putting things on the auction house involves time spent posting, cancelling and reposting. There is, however, one ace in the hole the Motherlode has, which I discovered while testing. During the farming I did for this video, 2 purple items dropped, which could sell for a lot on the auction house. If any of these purple items drop, I definitely would post it on the auction house, even if you don't habitually sell items there. Now, if you really want your gold per hour numbers to explode, you might want to try a faster class. For example, Feral Druids, preferably with a speed set, can run through the dungeon without a mount and kill all the neutral mobs without loss of efficiency. This is quite important. I generally make the assumption that players are using a generic, relatively slow class with no special items when I make these gold farming videos, because that's all most players have to work with. However, it is really worthwhile investing in a speed set for a faster class if you do raw gold, as it can literally double your gold returns per hour.